Are you tired of hearing from garbage weebs why AOT is the best piece of fiction to ever exist? Cool, so am I. Let's talk about it. No, stop. What is he doing? Look at me, I'm Eren. I have birds flying in the background. I'm so emo. I have father issues. Get this out of here. Siri, play something that slaps, please. Back in my day, we used to bully the AOT kids. Yes, we did. I miss bullying. Now, multiple people have come before me and explained why AOT is the best show ever and why Eren is like totally in the right. But they all like the show. So, as someone who thinks it's mid, I'm gonna explain why the show is mid and why Eren is, still in the right. Because I obviously know better than the rest of the internet. It's just who I am. I put off watching AOT for the longest time. Like, by the time I made it to season 1, season 4 was already out. The first part, not what the monster it is now. I only put it off because I don't really care for like mecha animes. And before you say it's not a mecha anime, spot the difference between these two. They're the same image of fleshy heathens. Like, seriously, it's okay to admit AOT is a mecha anime. It's just a mecha anime with a twist. Like when I'm like shaking my homie's hands goodbye, and I give it a kiss, like just little, like I'm still shaking his hand, just with my face. It's not. When I ask people why they like AOT, they cite a couple different reasons. One of them being the characters, which I agree to a degree, and the other is like the plot twists, which I don't. What? What?
I want him, and I know you can't keep him forever.
Don't get me wrong, there are twists in the shows, in AOT. I guess I would just they're not that big, Like the biggest plot twist I think was when it was like, oh, Eren can turn into a Titan. Isn't that cool? And that's the whole thing of the show, so that should say something, I'm sorry, but you're gonna come at me and you're gonna say, oh, well, Eren can turn into an abnormal Titan, and he kind of looks like his Titan form, because his hair matches. And then you're gonna want me to be surprised when the other people who look like said abnormal Titans are actually said Titans. I'll give you Bearhole, right? But that's only because my poor boy's walking around looking like a freaking anatomy project. Poor guy. And then Rhina, right? Rhina kind of looks a little bit like his. And then by the time you get to Abby, they're not even trying by the time you get to Abby. This is stupid. Really, I hate this. I hate it. I'm sorry. I hate it. You talk about gaslighting. All right. You talk about gaslighting. Isayama, I think I'm pronouncing it is Isayama. Isayama, right, is a master at gaslighting. I was sitting in my bed binge watching like the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan, and I swear when I saw this, I thought I was having a fever dream. I was like, they didn't do that. There's no way. No, that's too simple. They did. They did it. That's the thing. They did it. And I know what some of you were saying. What about the basement scene? What about the basement scene? And I'm sorry. Okay, but you're telling me. You're telling me that there's these kids who are bent on going full Samson on the walls in the city, right? And I'm supposed to sit back and be like, oh yeah, no, they're totally from the walls. Yeah, that makes sense. There's totally not anyone else out there outside of this, outside of the outside world, beyond this one city. Yep, this is the only city in the world. And again, the show's not bad. I do enjoy it. I'm glued to the TV like David was to Bathsheba. But it's, it's not 10 out of 10. It's more like an 8 or a 7, And if you don't agree, look at season 2 and 3. They're criticized for political slog and being a basic shonen mecha. But season 4 is apparently, good enough to make everybody forget that they criticized all of season 2 and most of season 3 simply because they expanded the map. Like, it's dumb. Like, you know what it is? No. You know what it's like? It's like when Fortnite redesigns their map and all the kids are like, oh my gosh, this is like the most revolutionary game campaign in all of existence. And all they did was redesign their existing map. It's funny because I'm pretty sure if I look this up, hold on, I think AOT just came out with a freaking collab with Fortnite. They did. And it looks so dumb. This is so dumb. For all the OT fans who haven't clicked off the video yet and are foaming at the mouth thinking I'm Satan himself, you're probably wondering what, in my opinion, is a good plot twist. And great, I'm glad you didn't ask. Kogios. Now, the show yanks you about a little bit with your emotions, enough to where you want a happy ending for Lelouch, and then delivers it to you. Everything's peachy perfect. And then they steal it. I still have PTSD from this. Lelouch goes through so much. Toppling an empire, trying to topple an evil empire, avenge his family, create, an actual good society, right? And then he achieves it, only for him to lose control of his Gios, topple all of his hard work, kill hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians, and then have to kill, by his own hand, his sister. Or, I mean half-sister, but it's... And it worked because it came completely out of left field, but, okay, it didn't. Because... early in the show, we're hinted at the possibility that you can lose control of your Gios, but you just write that off because it came early enough in the show that you the writers are just creating an enemy for the main protagonist, and then it comes back and sucker punches you in the face and makes you hate the rest of the show, but love it. And that's how you do a plot twist, one that evokes emotion, not this. It's not this. Zeke, you must become a Titan. so that you can eat the founder and the restorationists can win this war. Poppy, you need to become a titan so you can eat the founder and the restorationists. Why are you crying?
Say it.
But this was literally your plan. Like, this was your plan before you even had the attack titan in you. I couldn't even manipulate you that far back. Like, this is all...
You're literally
This is why you don't like your character. Like, I'm just saying, if Kruger had been the one to kill off Faye under orders of Eren instead of some random dude named Gross, it would have been, or like if Grisha's idea or plan was different from Eren's and wasn't just a copy paste before, his plan before inheriting the attack titan, it wasn't just like a copy paste, it would have worked for me. It would have worked. I don't know, just thought, man. I don't like.
Go ahead. I say there's a place for us, but maybe it's just another pipe dream. Maybe I'm fooling myself again. Well, why don't you go and find out yourself? Send me a postcard. Go on, there's the door.
So if the show is pretty basic, in my opinion, all that leaves is the characters, or more so specifically Eren. The sole reason I think people still watch this show, or at least, the reason I still watch the show, because in reality I'm more of like a romance anime guy, but you know what they say, can't spell based without the word basic. The RC is silent. That being said, funny story. I don't think Eren was wrong. Lock me up. I don't see. But here's why. Okay, so the mainland is destroyed, or like hell-bent on destroying Parody, right? And Eren loves his friends, right? Okay, and Eren's friends they're Eldian and on Parody, right? And so his friends aren't safe, right? Okay, great, we agree. So Eren is written into a corner, and his only option is mass genocide. That's how I said written into a corner, though. Just keep that in mind. Now, I'd like to step away from anime for a second to explain my next point further to begin with. So I think most people are familiar with the story of Jesus Christ. So we have Jesus, right? He's the Son of God, also God himself, and he comes down to earth being fully man, fully God. And then he goes around being a carpenter for like 30 years and then goes out, does miracles, preaches, loving everybody, and rebuking the religious leaders of the day really heavily, to where the religious leaders are like, Anta baka! Anta baka! Anta baka! Anta baka! Anta baka! And Jesus was like, no. Anyway, long story short, religious leaders don't like him. They tattle on him to Rome. He gets crucified, but plot twist, this is how you do a plot twist, everybody, all right? This was all part of the plan, right? It's part of the plan, okay? And he rises on the third day, and he's alive. He's forgiven the sins of man because he died and rised again, and now he's gonna go live as God. And here's my point, all right? Thousands of years, many believers, many non-believers, thousands of years of history. Never once in my time here on this earth have I ever heard a man go, yeah, I wouldn't mind being Jesus. That'd be pretty cool. Like, I've heard people, right? I've heard people say they want to be God, or they are God, or they want to be a Messiah, or they are a Messiah. But I've never heard a man say, sorry, I'm parched. I've never heard a man say, Yeah, you know, all that suffering that Jesus went through, being utterly forsaken by God, and then bearing every single sin in existence, both past, present, and future, and suffering that much, and dying, going to hell, raising back up, you know, and like forgiving everybody, and then getting to live eternally as a God. Yeah, you know, I would go through that. But you know what I have heard people say?
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead.
It also touches on the idea of control, which is why everybody likes Eren and loves him so much and justifies him, and why everybody hates Gabby, and why everybody loves the show so much still, and why no one sees the frick.
Oi.
Sorry, lady. Not interested. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got an after-funeral party to attend.
If I were in the same world as Eren and dealt the same hands as him, I would probably end up doing the same thing, which is why it's so much fun to watch him do what he's doing, because, you know, if he can get control over time itself and literally the whole world, then maybe, even though he's a fictional character, I can get control over my sleep schedule, and if I can get control over my sleep schedule, then maybe I can get... So in the end, AOT kisses. I'm thinking about Mikasa and Eren. AOT scratches that AOT scratches that monkey part of your brain that just wants to see violence and stuff, but that makes me feel like the ending is meaningless. I admit I haven't seen the ending of the manga or the anime, okay, but I've seen the one panel with Mikasa kissing Eren's weird stub thing, so I know he doesn't win, okay, and instead like paints himself as the bad guy or something. I don't know, but here's why that's a huge plot hole. So here we are, Eren's gonna lose, right? We all know it, it's inevitable. So there's 2 ways I see this going. First way, after killing 80% of the population of Earth, everybody, you know, just goes about their lives, and they paint Eren as the bad guy, they forget about the Eldians, and everyone's just like, oh, yeah, this is okay. It's like you're telling me after thousands upon thousands of years of violent history in this anime, like in this world, everyone's just gonna be like, it's fine. Don't worry about a thing. No. The second option and the pathway. Oh, I'm getting my cord tangled. The pathway I see as much more viable is Eren kills everybody, gets painted as the big baddie, but then you have 20% of the Earth that's in pain and hurt and just utter devastation. And who's the big bad guy group? The Eldians. And who was basically the entire world being like, hey, we should, you know, like we should, like these guys before they do anything crazy and drastic, and now they've done something crazy and drastic that warranted the mass genocide everybody was worried about, or wanted to do and was worried about. Who is that? Oh, the Eldians. Not to mention, Eren both created and then left to their own devices the Jaegerists, who are basically just Eldian nationalists, so that really does not... that doesn't help any. So basically, you can paint Eren as the big baddie. It doesn't mean people are going to care afterwards. I mean, especially after the history of the Eldians and what, like, Eren has done, it's just... is not human nature. People aren't gonna just be like, oh yeah, it's fine. But more than all of that, you know, leaving the Eldians and Jaegers, Eren also leaves his family and friends that he said he cared so much about. You know, if there's gonna be any left by the end of this, I don't know, we'll see. But he left them to like their own devices, surrounded by a bunch of people that definitely now want to like they definitely want to kill them now. And then he just like dips out. It's like, peace. and leaves them to their own devices. Which leaves me just feeling like Eren was worse, not only for the world, but like the just show in general, because everything ends up the same way it was, but now worse, and more people are dead. So there was really no point to any of it. And maybe the show is trying to, you know, say violence is pointless, but since Eren doesn't have to face any repercussions on any degree, really, it just leaves me feeling like bland inside. Now compare that to Code Geass. Now here's a man who's also driven solely by revenge, and he does a lot of good things, a lot of terrible things, both on accident and purpose, and by the end of it causes so much pain and realizes that he's caused so much pain that his only option is to paint himself as the villain, live as the villain thoroughly and long enough, and to where he becomes the center of attention, which is something I personally don't think Eren did. He just like, okay, rumbling now, LOL, bye, and like, and he becomes like the center of attention long enough to where everyone blames him for the hardships that they endure. All the while, what actually happened is he saved people from a harsh reality at the hands of the Emperor that they never saw coming, and then creates the world of freedom and peace and love that he wanted to experience, but instead sacrifices himself and gives it to people who hate him, never getting to experience it himself. Now, compare that heartbreak to Eren, who wanted to save his family and friends, and then just made it worse, and never had to deal with any of the repercussions or consequences of his actions. I mean, that is one reason I like him. The monkey side of my brain is going, yes, hurt your enemies. You know, we all have that evil side, so it's why I like him, because I think it's okay to admit that, at least for me. Now, I'm not saying you should listen to the dark side and like your monkey brain and go all, hey, that's not what I'm not saying that. But I mean, think about it. If someone came to you and was like, hey, you can save the world and be hated by it, and you die in the process, or you can kill most of the world, die in the process, but be loved by those you saved. Isayama didn't create one of the most mind-bending, utterly, like, just totally different mangas or animes, you know, in the genre. He created one of the most relatable characters in the entire genre, and not just a relatable character, but one everybody's afraid to admit they relate to, because he's not a good person, right? He's like that evil little voice in your head that's like whispering things, you know? He's the intrusive thoughts everybody talks about that no one wants to admit are there. Like, he's human, you know, and he's human, and it's scary to admit sometimes we all feel human inside. That's an insanely hard character to write. But anyway, I guess AOT's still meh, you know, but this is coming from a guy who thinks Darling in the Franxx and Domestic Girlfriend are masterpieces. So it's okay if you like AOT, because at the end of the day, we're all trashy weeb raccoons on the inside. Oh, one little quick last minute thing. I'm redoing my video of Chainsaw Man, because I realized I was wrong. In some places, not all places, some places though. So if you like trashy opinions on anime and bucket list vlogs, you should hit that subscribe button. Yee. Anyway, I hope your day is full of fun and joy, and I hope you have a lovely one, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you, little dudes. High five. Ah, my glasses. My glasses. My glasses.